Did you know that there is a way to never pay for travel again? And I mean, internationally, nationally, no matter where you're going, as a business owner, there is a way using the money that you were already going to spend to get access to travel for free, never pay for travel again. And on this video, I'm going to break that down. And what makes this video different from the other of countless videos on YouTube about using points and rewards to pay for travel is this one is geared towards business owners and busy business owners at that don't want to take the time to deal with the complicated point system and optimize for using your points the best way and use it for this point system or getting this amount of points back. You just want a quick, simple system to where you can travel for free, especially nationally, but even internationally. This is the video for you. I'm going to break everything down, okay? I've used this very system to get access to over 1 million points using the Chase and American Express point system. And today, even if you don't need 1 million points, I'm going to show you how you can get enough points to travel. And let's go over a few things here, a few disclaimers before we get started. Number one, this is mainly going to be about points. So points is going to cover your hotel and flight. However, I will break down a way that you can get cash. Maybe not all the cash. I don't know how much you're going to spend when you when you travel, but I'm even going to show you how to get some cash to spend on your trips too as well. So it may make your entire trip free down to everything that you spend and your hotel and how you get there. Now, number two, you must have a 700 plus credit score and be able to get access to certain personal and business credit cards for this to work. So I'm not making a claim that you will be able to just at any credit profile or credit score, be able to take that and be able to travel for free. You do have to bring that to the table. And number three, we're going to only use the Chase point system, which is called the Ultimate Rewards Points for this hack. And the reason I'm doing that is because, again, I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible without combining points and worrying about the most optimal this and that. If you're going to go that route or you want to go that route, that's fine. You're going to find this video a little bit more simple, and you may want to look at another video breaking everything down if you want to put in the hours and the days and the effort to figuring all of that out. But if you want to keep it simple, then I'm just going to show you using Chase, even though there are more point systems outside of Chase. Like I said, I use American Express too as well. And I have, like right now, currently literally over 500K points with American Express. And that's what I'm even trying. But it's a good system too, but let's just keep it simple. Now, what will we go over here? So we're going to talk about what points are in the first place, how you can acquire points. So how do you get enough points to even travel? And then we'll talk about exactly how you use these points once you know how to get them, how to use them for free travel, either for a flight and a hotel. So I'm going to break down both of them. Normally on a video like this, you would only want to talk about flights on one or hotels on one, but I'm going to talk about both. We're really going to go into it. Might as well. And I may need to make further videos explaining some of the topics that I'm going to go over, but that's okay. But this is going to be a good guide for you and a way that you can build a system around this so you can consistently travel for free. Now, first, what are credit card points? Essentially, credit card points, you just think about it this way. If you are like super new to points, you don't really know anything about it. You've heard people talk about points here and there. Look, it's just a reward system for spending money on either a personal or business credit card. All right. It's just a system that the bank issuer and the banks came up with really to incentivize you to spend more money on your cards. Okay. That's all it is when it comes down to it. It's not too complicated. And a lot of times it's as simple as this. You get 1 point for every dollar spent. You spend $1,000, you get 1,000 points. That's for the most part how it is, but it gets a lot more detailed than that because what card that you have is going to determine how many points that you get on what you spend money on. I'll tell you what I mean by that. So, for example, you have the Chase Inc. Unlimited Business Preferred Credit Card that offers 3 times points on the following categories. You have 3 times points on shipping purchases. You have 3 times points on advertising purchases like Meta ads, YouTube ads, etc. On internet, cable, and phone services, and also on travel. So if you spend money on any one of these categories up to your first $150,000 spent, which a lot of you guys probably won't get to that even 1 year, you get 3 times points, meaning if you spend $1 for every dollar that you spend, you will get 3 times the points spent on those categories, right? So if your company spends $10,000 on Meta ads here on on Facebook or even here on YouTube, then you would get 30,000 points back just for spending that money that you were already going to spend, especially if you're currently running ads, right? Now, this is going to be the same or similar, at least, when it comes to cash back. So you have points and then you have cash back. Cash back is what it sounds like. If you spend money on your card, you will get cash back. For example, with the Chase Freedom Unlimited personal credit card, if you look here on the screen, you'll earn 3% cash on dining, which includes takeout and eligible delivery services, and drugstore purchases. Excuse me. So what that means is that if you spend $10,000 on dining, you'll get $300 back in cash. So you see, these things really add up, because if you look at that, $10,000 on dining, $300 in cash, that's $3,600 a year. And if you're already spending that money again, you would get that back. Using $10,000 dining as an example, but if whatever category or however much you spend, I'm just using it as an example, right? But in that given example, $3,600, that's a lot of money cash back on money that you were already going to spend if you were already going to spend it, right? So this is mainly how you get access to points, either through the point system, meaning you have a personal or business credit card that you spend money on, get points back. Depending on the category of the card will determine how many points you get. And then for cash back, same thing. The category that you spend on will determine your percentage rate on the cash back that you get. Hey, some cards can even go up to like 5% cash back. So on certain categories, and even sometimes certain parts of the year, like they have like rotating categories depending on the card. But to keep it simple, that's what that is. So for you guys that are very familiar with this, you may be thinking, oh, I already kind of knew that, Colin. But now the next big way to earn points that I haven't touched on yet that you must know about, and a lot of you guys that's even newer, you got 100K plus in funding, you guys don't really take advantage of this, is going to be sign-up bonuses. So sign-up bonuses is essentially an incentive too as well to spend on the card that you get, but it's normally when you first apply and get approved for a personal or business credit card, they give you this incentive. Like, for example, when you take the Chase Inc. Unlimited credit card, right now, currently at the time I'm recording this, they have a $75K sign-up bonus if you spend $6,000 within 3 months. So if you spend, in more layman terms, if you spend $6K on this card, you will in return get 75K points, but only within the first 3 months. You get it now. You have until November to spend the money, essentially, right? Does that make sense? Now, this is relevant because you'll never get that amount of points for that low of spend ever again. Think about it like this. So if you just spent 6K on this card on a one-times category, you would only get 6K points. But for 6K, you're getting 75K points. That's a drastic difference, right? Even if you spend it on a 3 times category, that would be 18K points, right? So you see, it's going to be a huge difference. So you have to take advantage of that sign-up bonus. And a lot of you guys would spend the money, but sometimes you don't spend on the card that you first get. within the first 3 months because you're like, oh, I want to use it. And I've done it before, so I understand it. But when you first get a car, you have to pay attention to the sign up bonus. And, sometimes it's not just about the limit, where a lot of us, we don't care anything about that. We're just like, I need the money for my business. I need the limit. So I want a higher limit. I don't care about the sign up bonus and all that. I get it, but it is something to pay attention to for sure. Okay. Now, let's use an example. Let's now transition to talking about how we can use these points once we get them. Say you have 100,000 Chase Ultimate Rewards points, and this could be obtained quite easily with this sign up bonus of 75K. So you would already have 75K. And if you wanted to get 25K points to make up for the 100, the 25K points left over, I'm going to put an equation on the screen here to show you what you would have to spend pretty much. Say if you were using the Chase Inc. Unlimited card, how much you would have to spend would be around pretty much almost 17K that you would have to spend on that card, depending on the category. And then you would have 25K points just like that. So getting 100K points, when you break down the math, you can understand like these things are predictable, right? Like you may see your points, not know how you got there or how many points are coming in and out. You actually can calculate this with math of how many points, you need to get, which that was going into more, next level complicated as far as like calculating points and everything. But I'm just giving you the example right now. How do we use these points for travel? Let's break this thing down. Now, there's several ways to actually use these points. Let's remember, by the way, we're going to be taking that example of having 100,000 points. So you have your 100,000 points strictly with Chase. Right now, how do we use this for travel? You can use your points for travel directly through Chase's website. But then you also have a way to where you can use your Ultimate Rewards points directly with Chase, but also you have third-party airline and hotels that you can transfer your points to. Now, this sounds simple enough, but this is where it gets complicated because you have a ton of options. You may not know like how to use it, or you may just be using your points through Chase and not realizing that it's not the most optimal way, and not even from a complicated standpoint, but it's just a much simpler way to get the most bang for your buck. And that's why this is a thing that you have to pay attention to, because you could be using an excessive amount of points and not getting much for them. Whereas if you implemented a quick strategy, which doesn't take much time, it's just, directing your energy somewhere else, or your strategy and your points elsewhere, then you would be able to get a lot more for your points. So that way 100,000 can take you a lot farther. Because if you do this wrong, I'm going to show you an example of how you can do this wrong. So, for example, me and my wife, we went to the C. Baldwin Curio Collection by Hilton in Houston. It was really nice. It's in Houston, Texas. We had a corner room, and we were staying there for a mentorship that I purchased a while back, okay? And I paid for this room completely by points. Like I said, it was a nice room. It had a Peloton in it. I'm going to put that here on the screen. And if you wanted to go to the same hotel now, so let's take an example. If we were to book this room for some random dates in October, let's see, I'm going to put it here on the screen. I put in some random dates in October, and then it says pay with points here. As you see, 89,000 for the first night. So if we have 100,000 points for just that first night, that's 89K points. Yikes. We have used up almost all 100,000 points, and we're only going to be there, or we only can use points for one night. That's not ideal. You may feel good about it because if you don't know how points work, you may be like, oh, well, I don't know how these things, work. So I feel like, that's good. I guess it's taking care of one of my nights in Houston. Wrong. There is a better way, a much, much, much better way. Okay. Now, quick disclaimer. For you guys that know points, you may already know this, but with Hilton, a lot of times their points are valued more like 2 times the amount of what you would see here. So if you were to transfer points over from American Express, by the way, for example, if you were to transfer points over, it would be more like 45 45,500 than 89. But either way, you still could only pay for 2 nights using that example. Okay. So let's do another example here using the same exact dates in October, and let's use another hotel. So if you see here on the screen, I went to a Hyatt hotel, the Hyatt Regency Houston downtown, which is another 4-star hotel, just like the Sea Baldwin Curio. In the first example, it's a nice hotel. I've actually stayed here several times before here in Houston. So if we look at the same dates for this nice hotel in October, look here on the screen. It's only 12,000 points per night. 12,000 points per night. So instead of using almost all your points in one night, 89K, now you can only have to, like for 4 nights, like I put in 4 nights here. For 4 nights, you're pretty much at the same amount, right? Or even less. And you're staying 4 nights versus staying for 1. And you got 52K points left over. You see what I'm saying here? Because it's only 48 for the 4 nights, 48K points instead of spending 89K points for 1 night. You got 48K points for 4 nights. So you see how this matters, right? So you could take 100,000 points and get either 1 or maybe even 2 full trips, hotel and flight, depending on how many days you're staying and where you're going, of course. So it can stretch a lot further than if you do this thing the wrong way. So what was the difference here? Why did this one hotel, even though both of these are nice hotels, why did one hotel have a better redemption rate than the other? Here's the simple reason for that. And here's a major hack that I don't see a lot of people talking about, but this is a huge gem. Okay. It's because the Hyatt hotels, they have a great redemption value and pretty much the best redemption value out of all major hotels. Well, not all the major hotels, just the hotels that Chase has a partnership with that you can transfer your points to. So when you're traveling, if you want to keep things simple, of course, you can stay wherever you want to stay. But if you want to use your points, use Hyatt hotels, bar none. Don't even think about it. Okay. Just use Hyatt hotels because the redemption value is insane. 12K points for staying at a hotel is nothing. It's nothing at all. So essentially you're getting like 2-3 times, even maybe more value on your points. And you don't have to worry about what that means as far as points and value and everything, but just know that you get a lot of bang for your buck. That's what that really means. Okay. So if you take the same example, 100K points, now you got 48K points that you spent on your hotel. You're staying at a nice hotel for 4 nights. So instead of spending 89K points with that one hotel for 1 night, you've spent 48K points for 4 nights at a nice hotel too as well. That's also 4 stars. So does that make sense? Comment a 100 emoji down below in the comments if this is making sense so far and if you've gotten any value from this video, okay? Now, how do we actually do this though? So how do we transfer points over? You need to know these details too, because there's some nuances here that is very important to understand. Now, first of all, you can't just transfer to any partner that you want to, meaning any hotel that you want to if you're using points, any type of airline. You can't just transfer whoever you want to. On the screen here, you'll see I have the airline partners, which is a one-on-one transfer. Don't worry about what that means. Essentially, you can use your points directly over to these guys. Now, one thing you'll notice if you're looking at the airlines is that a lot of these are not going to be national airlines. Like you have Air Canada, British Airways, Singapore Airlines. A lot of these airlines are more for international travel. But even for national travel, you do have some good options here, like United Airlines, and then you have Southwest too, which we'll talk about here in a second, and even Flying Blue or JetBlue, True Blue is also, they have a lot of national flights. I've flown with them too before. And then you'll look at the hotel partners, which is Hyatt, like we looked, IHG, and Marriott Bonvoy. So primarily when you're using points, you're going to be staying with one of these three hotels. Like I said, though, Florida Hyatt is the absolute best. I would just not even worry about the other two. If you want to look and see, if you could find an equal or better deal, depending on the hotel, you can. But if you want to save time, just book the most convenient Hyatt hotel at the location you're going to be at, and you're going to be just fine. Okay, but even though you cannot just transfer to just anyone, once you found the correct partner, just understand that you now have to know how to transfer over points to that partner. Okay, now back to our example. So 100K points, we've already established we need to spend 48K points with Hyatt. Now let's talk about flights. So how do we do that? Which airline do we go to? Like I said, we'll talk about it in a second. Boom, Southwest Airlines. Why Southwest? Because they run a lot of deals and they are really good. I mean, they're inexpensive, whether you're using points or not, and they run a lot of deals. So if you want to keep it very simple, just fly with Southwest. A lot of you guys, I know you love Delta, and you may have some other airlines that you're used to using. I don't know, Frontier and Spirit and things like that. Maybe that's you too. But if you want to keep it simple and you want to use points, do that. Or sometimes you can just opt out of using points for your flight. But if you want to use points for your flight, want to save some cash, use Southwest. It's going to be, at least nationally, especially nationally, Southwest. Now, you got some of the other guys for international travel too as well. You got, I've done JetBlue for international. But some of the best redemption for national is going to be Southwest, for at least for what you can use on your Chase points. Now, let's take a look here. So I want to show you this example. I was able to get a Southwest flight from Atlanta to Chicago at 5,800 points. You understand that? 5,800 points. And this was for 4 days a round trip flight for 5,800 points. You understand that? Pretty cool, right? And if you look at, like, the first flight was 1,800 points, and then the second flight was 4,000. But yeah, 5,800 points total. So it was amazing. And this is not common. This is not, like, you're probably not going to see that too often, but it, as you see, is possible, right? So that's why I like using Southwest, especially for national flights, okay? If I want to use points. Now, that's if I'm using Chase points. To be transparent with you, I have American Express points, so I like to use that for Delta, but Chase does not have a partnership with Delta, so therefore you wouldn't be able to transfer your points over to Delta. But when I'm using just Chase points, like, I'm kind of bouncing things out. Okay, let me use some more Chase points. I'm going to do Southwest, right, if it's national. All right. Now, how do we transfer points over? You need to know this very quickly. I'm going to make this simple because it's kind of self-explanatory. I'm just going to run through the steps. So number one, you're going to go to your Chase rewards. You're going to go to the website or the Ultimate Rewards points where it says rewards, like it does right there on the screen. And then you'll click that arrow there, and it's going to send you to, is essentially, if you have more than one card with Chase, it's going to send you to which card that you want to, use your rewards points for. And then you'll choose the appropriate card, which the appropriate card, we're going to talk about in a second what that means. Then you're going to go to travel. Then you'll click transfer points to partners. And then boom, you'll see the next screen where you'll be able to transfer points to other partners that we showed earlier. Like in this case, say Southwest, or even to Hyatt hotels. Okay. Now you have to have at least 1K points to be able to transfer as well. And let me drop a hammer on you. You do need at least the Chase Sapphire Preferred or Reserve personal credit card with Chase in order to transfer points directly to airline or hotel partners within Chase. So repeat, you need to have one of those personal credit cards if you're going to transfer points over to hotels for that much cheaper rate. So if you don't have it, you need to consider applying for it if you are not currently in an active funding sequence. Not telling you to apply for a personal credit card while you're currently going for funding, or if you don't need a personal credit card right now and those things. But like if you're in a rebuilding phase and you only have one personal credit card, you already need another personal credit card, this will be a great card. Either the Chase Sapphire Preferred or Reserve personal credit cards would be great cards to get because it will enable this feature for you. Okay. And you must have that to be able to transfer over. All right, now going back to transferring over, another thing to notice that you do need a free account, say with Hyatt, for example. I'll put that on the screen. How you sign up with them, you click over to sign in or join and just click join. Or with Southwest, you have to create an account. You need those free accounts before you are able to transfer points over. But once you have that, everything is ready to go. You got the Chase Sapphire Preferred or Reserve. If you already had that, you have the accounts, you can transfer points over. That's what it will look like there on the screen. So you pretty much just click submit. Just note that one, you need to look at how many points that your travel is going to be before you transfer over. You don't want to guesstimate. So just go in and actually put in the dates that you need and then put pay with points with either Hyatt or Southwest and see how many points that your travel will be. Do that before you hit submit. And then two, normally Southwest and Hyatt will immediately transfer over, but I've had a time where it took like 24 hours. So you do want to do this in advance. Say if you're trying to book for the same night, you will risk the chance of the point transfer not completing if you don't do it in advance. So it's best to do it, at least with 48 hours in advance, but I would do it even more in advance of that, a week or so or longer if you can. Okay. But again, just make sure you click use points so that way you can see it. Now we've went over a lot. All right. We've talked about what points are. We've talked about how to actually get access to points. Now let's talk about which cards you can get and which system to create. So that way you can just constantly be able to travel for free. Normally what people do is use the Chase trifecta. So essentially what is the Chase trifecta? It's essentially using a combination of three of the Chase credit cards, either the personal or business credit cards, to be able to maximize on points. And here's the spread that you can use. And they call it a trifecta, but really you can get more than just three cards. I have more than three cards with Chase. But just to start out, again, you're going to need the Chase Sapphire Preferred or Reserve for all your personal spend. You want to look at the Chase Ink Unlimited business credit card and the Chase Ink Unlimited or Chase Ink Cash, card. And you can use that cash card for your cash back and use the other card, the unlimited card, for all of your business spend. Now, assuming that you spend, say, 5 to 10K a month on your business, eventually these points are going to add up and add up and add up, especially depending on how frequent you travel. A lot of times people only take vacation 1 or 2 times a year if they're able to take one. If you're like that, then you'll definitely be able to consistently be able to travel for free by using this very system here. Now, obviously, it's going to vary. If you're going international or certain places like the UK or Hawaii or often or something like that, then this may differ for you. But for the most part, if where you're going is not notoriously expensive, you'll be able to travel for free. All right. And here are our last few tips that I want to put you on. Okay. Number one, if you're traveling overseas, you still can use points for that, especially if you're going to a resort like in the Caribbean, Cancun, or anywhere else in Mexico. You're going to Jamaica, you're going to the Dominican Republic, or one of the other islands there in the Caribbean where they have the all-inclusive resorts. Hyatt actually has those. Hyatt has those all-inclusive resorts that you can use for points. Let me give you an example. So right here, if you see on the screen, the Secret St. James Montego Bay all-inclusive resort is 35K points per night. And I've seen much lower than that, like 20K points. Matter of fact, my first trip, I've been to Jamaica twice. My first trip to Jamaica, it was 20K points per night. I think me and my wife stayed 4 nights or 4 or 5 nights. I think it was 4 nights, but either way, that was only 100K points. Yeah, first trip, 4 nights, 25K points per night or 20K points. It was either 80 or 100K, one of the two. I was trying to find it in my email, but for some reason it's not displaying the points anymore. But either way, it was definitely anywhere from 80 to 100K points that we use. And yeah, we use points. So we didn't have to worry about paying out of pocket, because if we did pay out of pocket, normally those type of all-inclusive resorts are going to range anywhere from, it varies greatly, but on the very low end, like $800 a night, but on the higher end, $1,500, $2K a night plus. So we saved a lot of cash by just leveraging points by staying in Jamaica. And we did that twice. And I've also stayed in Cancun before and did the exact same thing. And these are really nice 5-star all-inclusive hotels and resorts that you can stay at just by using points. So the next time you're thinking about, I got to save up, 5K, I got to save up this amount of money just to go on a vacation, you don't have to if you're using points and you're spending money on your business and personal credit cards, okay? Now, the next secret tip is this. Check this out. If you don't want to even do this, if you find this too time consuming, there are third-party apps that will do this for you, like points.me. You can go there and just search there and put in your points, the amount of points you have, and exactly when you plan on going to your trip and where, and they can do the heavy lifting for you. So there are services for it. But either way, you do need to pay attention to your points as a business owner, and you need to do something. Don't just let all those points rack up. I'm sure a lot of you guys got 100K points right now. You don't even know what to do with them, or what it even means. 250K plus points with Chase or with American Express. So this is just an intro guide on how you can use them. And if you found this video helpful, I'm pretty sure you'll find this video helpful as well.